Hey, what's up, everyone? If you're tuning into this video, or if I popped up in your feed and you want to know what the heck is going on, what is Steve up to? This is my dodgeball podcast studio in my home, where basically I record all the dodgeball podcast episodes. But also I'm kind of turned into I'm playing with video, and so this is kind of giving me like one of those kill two birds with one stone type of situations where I would like to showcase Ballistae products and also like to resume the From the Bag Ballistae series. Before I get into it, bottom line up front, why you should care about any of this and what I'm about to say is that the V1 dodgeball knee pads are finally on sale. Famous last words. I think I've got enough of an inventory to support orders, and so the wait is finally over. Thank you so much for being willing to wait this long. Those of you that have, and those of you that have held out and continue to support this brand, it's incredible. And it's things like that that make me really want to step up my game. And the next piece is going to be kind of like a summary of what took place and why we were in the situation that we're in. And the reason why I'm going for like a video format is because it's easier than writing. There will be a blog about this at some point for those that really care. But I feel like this is more of like a personal touch. Never mind all the stuff. But before I deployed, Ballistae had been doing really well. And this is like 2021. We were basically doing really well at the V1s and the sliders. A bit of a backstory on the sliders. You can really hear the evolution of them, the development of them, and the inspiration behind them with the episode with myself and Joe talking about how they came to be. What was not said was that the original mold that we wanted to use for the sliders was actually taken from our manufacturer. They sold it to our competitor or offered it to a competitor. And there had been several misfires leading up to that point from 2018 all the way to 2021. And when I found out that the prototype that me and Joe had worked hard on and wanted to bring to our I don't want to say customers, but our players, that was like the final nail in the coffin for me. So I had resolved to find a new supplier, one that I can actually trust, that wasn't going to work with us on creating pretty much a proprietary product and then just give it away to whoever else wanted it, especially when we weren't even the first ones to get it. That was probably what upset me the most. So while overseas, I was overseas and we did pretty well because we still had plenty of inventory, but coming back, it was time to start shopping for a new supplier, one that's also going to be more responsive too, because unfortunately the relationship that we had was one where I felt like they felt we needed them more than needed us. So response times weren't great, and quality was starting to drop. And so between, I would say like from February of 2022 to about May of 2022, I had been working with several suppliers and several intermediaries to help me find a supplier. And the one that we found was promising. That's where the red and white second generation V1s came from. That's where the V2s came from, but that was very painstaking. If I can go back in time, I probably wouldn't have come out with the V2s because I spent more time and money on those than I did trying to refine the V1s because I thought that they were just going to be done correctly. But what had happened was towards the summer of 2022, I was starting to get a lot of inconsistencies in both size, fabric, and padding of the V1s. I would look at a small, and I couldn't tell you if I was looking at a medium, large, or extra large. And so, given my and Joe's history with the community, the last thing we want is just bad quality. And so I really did not like what we were coming out with. We did try switching back and forth to some other manufacturers. We did find one that was relatively promising. They got the first batch done, nailed it, but I feel like we were slipping into a situation very similar to the supplier before where, okay, they did all the salesy stuff. They got us on the hook. Now they're going to kind of just taper off and not care so much. And so, that would hopefully explain a lot of the delays and like, yes, we have inventory, no, we don't. Yes, we do, no, we don't, et cetera, all the way up until like towards the end of 2022. Towards the end of 2022 into 2023, we did come out with some white knee pads, and they're garbage. They were just hot freaking garbage, from like having just inexplicable dampness to them, to brown streaks, to one out of maybe 20 pairs are actually sellable. So it just got to a point where I just didn't want to sell those either. And so, short of taking them to the dumpster to set on fire and burn them, I had reached out to Armando. He had arranged a deal where we could donate them to a local dodgeball club of youth in one of the Mexico, not subsidiaries, chapters. So we were able to at least get them utilized in some capacity instead of, like I said, burning them, because I was really, really making plans to do that. I was just so fed up with it. So that kind of puts us into 2023. 2023 was a really strange year for me, just personally. A lot of shifting in my military responsibilities. I know you probably hear this all the time. If you do listen to the Dodgeball podcast, I probably complain about it all the time. But in between that and shopping for the ideal supplier, just was really not happening until I would say about March, April of 2023. And so that's when started establishing that relationship, started saying, okay, this is what the V1 looks like. Can you please make this? Okay, cool. I would get 5 pairs, I think. And I do recall by the time I finally got 5 pairs, or my hands on 5 pairs, this was around June, July, I was able to give those pairs to some cactus players to test out for me, just to see if okay, they look good, they feel good. Can anyone tell the difference? And I don't really think they could, to be honest with you. So I felt confident that this was the way to go. So we're able to put in a small order of about 50 knee pads a piece, each size. And I would say I think September, October timeframe, I had a big lofty back order of folks that were literally waiting months to get knee pads. Found them on Instagram. Sergio actually found them for me. He found them on the Instagram threads, and so I started reaching out to them, and lo and behold, they still want knee pads. So I started fulfilling those orders very quietly. Don't know how this happened, but somebody caught wind, and I sold out like that. And what a great problem to have, but also crap, I didn't get a chance to set up the next wave of orders, because I'm still very, I don't trust. I probably look really shifty right now, but I don't really. At the time, I didn't really trust who we were working with fully, because I've been here before. I've been here thousands of dollars, about maybe half a dozen suppliers before, and several months just lost in time in transit and whatnot. So I was very, very skeptical, but they sold out. The feedback was relatively positive. I don't think most people have noticed a difference. And if they have, it's usually because they're a faulty pair, in which case we repair them. We refund them and replace them, no problem. Only questions asked are how, just so we can get some feedback on how we can improve. But I did feel really good about it. And so we submitted a bulk order towards the beginning, maybe mid-January. And these guys just got in about 2 weeks ago. So without going too much more into my personal life, I was actually in the process of moving. But now I'm set up. Now I'm set up to fulfill V1 knee pad orders, and that's awesome, because that's going to kind of get me into phase 2 of my plan, which is to get us into an actual warehouse where we're fulfilling them through a local resource that we have available that we just haven't been able to utilize for the last year and a half. And so all that to say that this should be it. We should be removed of our supply chain issues, short of what we can control. Obviously, COVID threw a huge wrench in the gears for everyone. Never mind actual real life stuff like work and whatnot, and work-life balance for people. But yeah, we definitely felt that on the Ballistae side. I mean, how could we not? This isn't our day-to-day job, despite the fancy bells and whistles, as I may have pointed out previously or in another take. But that's about it in a nutshell. This has been a very painstaking process, but it's also been rewarding in the sense that people are still hitting up our social medias for knee pads. I mean, you can get them anywhere. You can get them at Dick's Sporting Goods. You can get them at Play It Again Sports, Big Fives, wherever they sell knee pads. But people choose us time and again, and have been choosing us for the past 6 years now. And so the last thing I ever want to do is release a crappy or inferior product, especially when we've already set the bar really high for the V1s. just kind of doing anecdotal numbers here, they're probably fulfilling 80% of our requests or of our orders. There are some weird people out there like the Canadians that sweep all day long, and the sliders do try to hold up, and we are trying to refine those as well. They're next on the list with this manufacturer. They have both our V1 or our sliders and our slider long sleeves, the original V2 prototype, and then they also have the V2s. But we really wanted to get the V1s down pat because, as I said, that's the majority of our orders. Nothing against those of you that like the sliders. God bless you. And same thing with the V2s. Like, we really are trying to make 3 to 5 versions or variants that will basically fit 95% of the dodgeball players out there. Some of you guys need like 10 gauge steel like armor. I don't know. Like, there's just something we're just never going to be able to protect. But for the majority of you, the V1s was the thing that that was the fire I had to put out. And I feel like we finally were able to put that out. And hopefully these aren't famous last words. But the intent of coming out here, one was I was already here because just recorded a dodgeball podcast interview with Frankie Giannetto. 2, I am toying with the setup of video and audio at the same time. And 3, to just kind of, maybe not hide from various devices and social media to thank you guys for being there since most of you from day one. And even if you're brand new and you're looking at this video like, why am I even watching this one weird dude in his house talking about knee pads? Thank you as well, because from our first release, our official release in 2018, holy crap, back in April, like almost like, yeah, literally 6 years ago to now, the hype and the support for Ballistae has just been unreal. And it's that like trust and hype and belief that make me and Joe and now Armando, and we'll cover that in an actual episode of From the Bag, or another episode of From the Bag, because that's what this will be. It's not something we take lightly. It's an honor to be able to play the game, love the game as much as we do, but also offer something else to the game in the guise of a sports brand. And we really want to grow with the sport. We really want to continue to support the athletes. One of the greatest things I got to do, one of the most gratifying things I got to do, was actually donate money to some of the players, some of the athletes, to include Team USA back in the earlier times of like 2018, 2019, because that's what we're about. Like, we're obviously players of the game. Probably should stop now at our age, but we're not going to. And so I feel like we know dodgeball, and what better way to contribute to the sport than, in addition to a podcast, an actual sports brand that gives a crap and will take the time to get to know the player and support them and provide them with products that serve them. So now with the V1s more or less resolved, I'm still going to be very paranoid for the next couple months. Now we can get into the fun stuff, the collaborations, the compression wear, the hoodies, the video games. These were all things that we had in line, and we were working very, very well towards them to becoming a reality and being launched. But once the knee pad problem happened and looked like it wasn't going to be solved for a specific amount of time, we scaled back on everything, because it just didn't make sense to be a knee pad company that doesn't sell knee pads.
That's a knee company that doesn't make
knee pads. And so that clip, it kind of shows exactly what we're talking about. But now that that's behind us, now we will start getting into apparel. We'll start getting into some of the compression wear that I've just been dying to release and toy with and play with and just see what's out there. And like I said, we're going to continue to support the player as best we can, but we're going to start with making sure that our stable product, the V1, is good to go. And now that I believe it is good to go, we'll see what happens. But again, I really seriously, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank every single person that's ever purchased a pair, that has been waiting to purchase another pair, and has supported our brand. This whole thing of like scarcity and getting people to rush to the site to purchase is not intentional. That's not at all how I or Joe or Armando want to do business, or even Grace. Like, we really want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible within reason. I think you guys see my house is probably enough transparency, but yeah, we just want to make sure that we do things right. We do it right by the player. And I'm totally rambling, but this is much easier to get out than an actual blog, which will follow suit. Maybe it'll come before, maybe after it. But we're back. We're going to do our best to stay back, and we're going to continue to back the player as we grow and grow with this amazing sport we call dodgeball. So if you've stuck with me this entire time, thanks for doing so. I'll probably drop a promo code of some fashion somewhere. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber, so it's gonna be somewhere, maybe in the comments, however this is delivered. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next episode of From the Bag or the Dodgeball Podcast. Shameless plugs. All right.